Taste Daily. Taste the Daily.
Holidays nale adu namma GT Holidays da, South India's #1 travel brand.
Because I hate peace, I'm bored with peace. Unless there's some kind of a disturbance in the world, I don't feel entertained. And film is about entertainment.
But there is already a lot of unrest in the world, right, sir?
I want to add to it. To the best of my ability.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for turning up to for the Masterclass with RGV sir. Yeah, like he said, he wouldn't agree that he is a master and he wouldn't also agree that this is a class, but we believe that he is a master and he has a lot of insights to share about filmmaking and obviously life. I'm very excited for this conversation. So let me introduce the theme of this conversation, which is the Navarasas. So we have picked 9 scenes from sir's filmography, each capturing, each representing one specific emotion, and we'll be displaying those clips here and sir will break down the scenes, those emotions, the stories behind those scenes, the craft behind those scenes. Before we get started with the clips, I wanted to know this thing from you, sir. You said that, speaking of emotions, you said that excitement is an emotion that you like the most. And to quote you, feeling continuous excitement is the best way of living because that gives you passion. The excitement doesn't lie in the object, but what you feel about a specific object. When I used to go to movies during my engineering days, I used to feel an excitement before entering the theater. It was as strong as sexual excitement. It used to give me an adrenaline rush. I want to ask you, almost 4 decades later, when you're watching a film, are you still as excited as, let's say, as an 18-year-old RGV was?
Yeah, that's a good question. Before answering that question, I would like to just clarify on the issue of the so-called master and class. See, any filmmaker, unless he believes he can be better than who else who was there at that time, he should not come into films. And I have a master. If I think that, then why should I come? So when I came to make my first film, I thought definitely I was better than anyone. So that kind of defies the definition of master. That's what I meant in that sense. See, I would say probably at when I was young in my college, I think I was excited about every film, irrespective of the. I could have probably seen an Adi Ramadu or Mechana's Gold and even a Godfather in the same way. But now my excitement is a kind of, I think, is more limited to some specific films. I would say that. So one is that, like specific films. And more than that, I think I'm now more interested in the crafting of a scene. I'm not so attracted to the plot of a film. So I'm very enamored with the new age directors, how they will interpret a scene. To translate it by using the various crafts of the medium. That is what which attracts me more. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get started with the clips now. Lights off. Play the clip. We'll watch the clip and then we'll discuss. The first emotion is rage, and the scene that we have taken is from. I know there are a lot of representations of rage in his film Raudram, but my personal favorite is Raktha Charitra because that's the first RGV film that I remember seeing in theatre. So yeah, Yes, play. That was actually a censored clip. Like, it was censored from YouTube because YouTube doesn't really allow bloodshed and all. But still, it was very intense. The uncensored version is like very, very grotesque. This is still intense. Sir, we'll start with Raudram. This scene. What does Raudram mean to you?
See, I feel in real life, emotions are really, they can be segregated, like what you're saying, Raudram or Hasyam or Viraham or, whatever, everything. Yeah, they all come in a certain amalgamated package. For example, this particular scene, I would put it in an amalgamation of both grief and rage. Because rage is coming from the grief. What he felt so, tragic about whatever happened to his father and brother. So it is the grief which is coming across as rage. Without that grief, it will look very probably superficial. In terms of he's just shouted, I'm going to kill each of them. I'm going to kill each of them. So there's a difference between the two. So I think it looks so violent because his rage seems justified because of the tragedy he went through of what the opponents have done to him. That is what I had in mind. This is technically picked it up first from the film called Mississippi Burning.
Mississippi Burning, yeah.
There's a scene where this guy takes revenge on a person who did something to somebody. So in front of him, when he sits and he talks to him about his relationship with the people who that guy killed. So that's a very strange juxtaposition of, somewhere that I think was my original idea from where this came from. Apart from most of the time in my personal interactions with these Rayalaseema factions or whoever it is, they all are very, very emotional people. So without an emotion backing, they can't do that kind of violence. They need to work themselves up in terms of that, to build up the rage. They need to have that very heartfelt emotion. Yeah.
Because if you take something like Sarkar, there is also rage, but Sarkar's rage is very contained. You see, he is not a very expressive person. Like even when he's ordering people to be killed, he's doing it with a sense of calmness and coldness. Whereas somebody like Vijay Oberoi from Raktha Charitra, he's fresh of that grief.
See, the fundamental difference between Sarkar and this is something which happened to him on a personal level. Vivek's character.
Right.
In Sarkar, he's doing it for someone else. So it is almost like becoming, like you become in a hospital, though their intention is to treat the patients, they don't do it on an emotional level. They do it on a mechanical level because that is their job. So they are not going to react to every patient's problem with the emotion like what a relative or someone might feel.
Right.
So when he decides to, on a certain punishment, Sarkar, for example, when the old woman comes and tells, and when that guy is given a job to beat him up, and he does it in a very cold blood, because see, they don't have anything to do with him. They're following the orders of Sarkar. And Sarkar is doing it to teach a lesson. So exactly my brief to them when I shot that scene, I said, be like carpenters. Now the carpenter is hitting something without any emotion. He just wants to make the tool. So if you look at when he's being hit with the dumbbell, there's absolutely no expression and no emotion in that thing, which makes it even more horrendous because juxtaposed with the pain of the guy who's actually getting hit. Yeah.
Why did you choose to open that attack scene with the woman in the kitchen?
I just felt, in terms of when we in films have this tendency to always bifurcate it. There's action scene, there is family scene, and there is a like that. But the moment I see the entry of that jeep in the suggestion of the woman in the kitchen, which makes it very relatable to the audience. That it can happen in my house, it can happen in the house I know. So I think mixing that is which makes it the more authentic. That is something many times I do. Yeah.
Because we have noticed that while collecting clips, we have noticed that it's a pattern in your films. A spectator, which we'll explore more. Now we'll go for the second clip. I think second one is okay. Wait a second. I have to tell this. What is the second? Okay, second one is fear. This is the longest clip, guys. It's 6 minutes long. We wanted to limit the clip length to 2 minutes, but we felt that this whole sequence is so bloody good that we had to show it to you, and I wanted to know everything about it. So this is a long sequence, and it's my favorite sequence from Bhoot. Yeah, second one. The reason I picked this scene is, generally when we talk about horror, we talk about closed spaces, dark spaces. Yeah. But you start the scene, and every time we are watching a horror film, when the setting shifts from night to morning, we kind of breathe a sigh of, a relief that, okay, nothing's going to happen, nothing's bad going to happen now, because all the bad is reserved for the night. But here the scene starts, and when she's surrounded by people, it's a very safe environment. How do you create a scare there? There you are planting fear.
See, the point is fear is basically about you feeling alone.
Alone.
Now, alone, when you're alone, it is an obvious thing that you're alone. But how can I make you feel alone when you're with people?
Yeah.
Which means then the people should become something else. See, everybody will have an experience of they're in a theater and they see the back of the heads, all of them are watching a film. And then for some reason, if all of them turn towards you, that's a very scary, because it's such an unexpected thing.
All eyes on you.
Then your immediate concern will be that you are secure because next to you, there is your husband. So when you see next, and you see that woman who keeps appearing in the house, so suddenly that makes you feel more lonely than anything else, in spite of being in the middle of people, because the people have become some unknown entity, So I think that kind of amplifies the fear of what you normally like, looking under the bed or looking behind the door or maybe in a dark corridor if you're walking. That is something which people kind of get used to that. It is like, if you're walking alone, you're half expecting something to come from behind. Maybe you're hearing a footstep. That is something everyone experiences, but to scare them in a kind of a place or in kind of a situation where they feel impossible, anything can happen here. I think that is which worked in that scene. Like this, technically I've seen this in my very early memories of there's a film called Dr. Horror's House of Horror, Dr. Terror's House of Horror. So when this guy gets down in the railway station and the whole railway station is empty, which never happens.
Yeah.
Partly I did that in Rath also. When Revati gets off a bus, there is no one. It's broad daylight and it's a village and there is nothing obviously scary. But the fact that to make her feel alone in spite of it being daytime, that is what I think. And second is when you are actually, she is with Ajay Devgan. Ajay Devgan is a husband and he's a man. But you develop a condition that you can't reach out to him. Some unknown force is pulling you back and she's not able to scream to make him hear also about whatever is happening. Yeah. That's one. I want to share a very interesting anecdote of this.
Please.
After I shot this scene in the night, I went home. I live in a duplex apartment in Bombay, So I was on the upper floor, and I was about to sleep. It's a kind of a U-shaped bedroom, So from behind the wall, I heard a laughter, and women's laughter. And I just kept looking. I said I don't believe in ghosts. At least that's what I keep claiming all the time, And I kept on looking. And then I heard a voice, Ramu, And because I don't believe in God, I was just wanting to test myself, and And then I suddenly recognized the voice. It's Manjeet from the film.
Bhoot.
That woman, yeah. I said, Manjeet, Again the laughter came. I suddenly got angry with myself that my mind is playing tricks or what, and I just decided I slept. I slept and turned away. Then I heard these footsteps coming towards me. And I was fighting a battle that my mind is playing a game with me to scare me. But ghosts don't exist. So I was in that kind of a tussle inside. Then I felt someone getting up on the bed. And then I almost felt a breath on my neck. And suddenly I turned and there was no one there. So then I was convinced, because I am also a writer and director, I tend to imagine things. That's what I do all the time, Then I thought, but I was feeling very, very, tense, Then I thought of an idea. I called Manjeet, the actor, on the phone. So she picked up and said, hi, so did you reach the place? And I just did some small talk with her. I didn't tell her about what my experience is. Now the fact that she is there in her home, now she's not here, definitely. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Yeah. Because I feel fear is something, most of the time, it's your own mind which plays with you. Like when you're alone, everything seems exaggerated. The fan seems to be making more sound than before. Or unexpectedly, a paper little flies without seemingly any air or something. So most things seem a little more weirder and stranger. That is nothing but your mind playing, which is what I think. See, no one can say for sure whether, I always believe that unless you experience it, you can't say ghosts are there or not. I might not have experienced, but somebody else might have. Yeah.
So I'll give you two examples. You have to make a choice here. Is it easier to make people laugh, or is it easier to scare people?
See, horror films, I think you need a lot of craft. It's like in terms of the camera movement to very small nuances of performances, the sound at watch level it should play. So there's a lot of craft required. And laughter is mostly dialogue and expression. So you don't need the rest of the craft of what films can offer you. So I would like to think that is the difference. And also, laughter depends a lot on more than the director, it depends on performers. The timing of comedy or how they say the dialogue. Whereas a horror film, I think, is purely a director's work. Yeah.
So when you're making, say, this sequence, how do you know whether it is working or not, whether it is scary or not? Because it's an amalgamation of a lot of things, right? Like the cuts, the sound plays a massive role in that whole the theater sequence. So how do you know whether it's working or not?
That is, I think, see, whether it works or not, you make everything thinking it will work, But at that point of time, what you're imagining in your mind is what you tend to... Like, for example, sometimes a camera, let's say, when she goes to the balcony, and the camera is slowly coming down, and I see just the tip of the staircase. So audience will be almost with fear walking at the edge of the frame. They won't be looking at her because they will think something or someone will enter from here. So that is a trick you're playing with the camera. If I didn't have that very subtle, slow movement, they might not think. Then the object of interest will be Urmila in the background. Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of, you play with the psychology of the audience mostly in a horror film. Yeah.
And how can one get a grasp of this psychology that you're talking about?
I honestly feel that either you have it, obviously you will understand, probably I grew up on films like The Exorcist and The Poltergeist, and I used to see a lot of horror films. Yeah, obviously some of that will come into my mind, and I will have my own individual. And I read a lot of Stephen King, in my growing years. I'm sure that had a certain impact, Like incidentally, talking about Bhoot, one of my, like in terms of, because you're calling it a masterclass, so there's a scene where Urmila comes down the staircase. And as she goes into the kitchen and drinks some water and comes back and goes up. Now, this is one classic I can understand how crafting can be used. So when she comes out, I have very wide lens shot. I see you can see the entire, apartment. So immediately the audience's mind will dart to who's there, who's here, there's nobody. And then she goes in, she takes her own time. She drinks water and she comes back. And now I'm wondering that nothing is happening. Then I cut to a top angle shot from up the thing, where she's walking. Now I can see that there is nobody behind Urmila, and Urmila can see in front of her. So for all practical purposes, you think it is just a false alarm, And then when she just crosses the camera, you see Manjit in the back. I remember in Eros Theatre in Bombay, when it released, almost the entire theatre jumped about 1 foot in the air when she's revealed. So this is where I'm talking about crafting. If the camera, instead of the wide lens, if I go behind her, then the audience will expect something to jump. So there is an expected jump scare. Yeah. But if it's in a wide, because they can see the whole place and nobody is going to jump suddenly into the frame. It is not going to be effective. So this is what I mean by constantly playing a game with the audience's mind at each point what they will be thinking. Yeah.
I think Kubrick's Shining is also a great example of, subverting the classic horror tropes, right? Because it opens with a wide shot in daylight, and it is almost entirely set in a hotel with wide frames. There is nobody to jump into that frame. There are no close-ups. There are no dark spaces. And
I would think one of the greatest examples of how we used horror, that is the first ever film where the Steadicam has been used. The Shining. That is where I picked up from Siva. Yeah.
Beautiful. The third clip, please. So this is from the movie called Not a Love Story, which is based on real events. So I'll give you the context for those who haven't seen. They're a couple and they've just committed a murder. Play. That was also quite graphic and intense, and I remember watching this movie and how much it disturbed me when I was a kid. Ideally, I shouldn't have seen this film, but this scene has stayed in my mind. Yeah. Again, we can't exactly call it disgust, but that's the feeling I got when I first watched it.
Right word. The reason for that is, when this incident happened with a woman called Maria Susseraj in Bombay, at the time something caught my attention in the news report, that they're having a physical relationship after the murder happened that was really horrific to hear, something like that. But later when I tried to, as a filmmaker, I want to put myself in the mindset of a character. That could be a cop, that could be a gangster, that could be an incident like this or whatever. And human being's mind is adaptable. It is just once you get through the overall shock of what happened, once you come out of it, they will do strange things. For example, if you remember a couple of years back in Delhi, something happened when this guy had killed a woman and put her in a fridge, and he was there. He was there more than 30 days, and he was having relations with other women also in the same room. So I think once you commit the act, you don't know. So then you return to normalcy. So it will be shocking and disgusting for us because you're not there in that position. Yeah. So I think it's based on that I got inspired to shoot this scene. Yeah.
And sir, when you are, say, not just real life events, when you are, say, capturing some extreme emotions and all, is it good for a filmmaker to judge his characters, or should he remain non-judgmental?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it has to be, I mean, there is a certain time as a filmmaker, also as a human being, you might have a strong opinion on. So it boils down to your intention of when you made the film, for what purpose. Are you just mirroring the events and not to be judgmental about it and to show them the way it is? Or do you want to make a statement in your own way about what it is? See, for example, in Satya, I put this line in the end. I said, my tears are also for those who he killed, also those for Satya, apart from the people he killed. Now that I think is a kind of a statement, what I feel as an individual about it. Whereas in this film, I think I'm not being judgmental. I just kind of mirrored what happened. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Fourth clip, please. I think the fourth one is Sringara, which is romantic love, and this is a song that we all love.
Very Shunga Rasam in this.
I mean, I'll tell.
Sir, if this is Shunga Rasam for you, I don't know now.
I'll tell you, it was a very conscious choice, Anmata. We saw it in a way where two very attractive people.
Because you thought this family audience.
Sir, we showed that clip from Not a Love Story where two people are having sex in front of a dead body. So we thought, okay, Shrungarasam akkada cover ayipoyindi. Ikkada gracefully. I wanted to show the what do you call, two extreme opposites of RGV, how he portrays attraction or what, physical attraction, but or whatever you call it.
To make a confession, the reason I made Kshanam, obviously because of my love for her, and my love for her came because of her thighs in Padharelu Vayasu. Point one. And point two is, after Mr. India and all those films, So by the time I could meet her and I wanted to shoot really sexy songs, she stopped doing that when Kshanam. So that was the tragedy behind it. So there is no lofty intention on my part to shoot the songs, making her sit.
In family friendly way.
Yeah.
So the reason, like I said, we wanted to show, like, physical attraction has been shown in a way, in a very graphic way there. And here the attraction is being captured in a very graceful, very family friendly way. I mean, imagine it's two very attractive people alone in the jungle. So, and the way he captures it is just beautiful. So, Meer Chappan sir, what do you call, if you take about, say, romantic love, be it physical, sexual, whatever it is, there are levels of it in which you have portrayed, right? There are different degrees of portrayal. Which one did you enjoy the most?
See,
and how do you fix?
I won't say that this is coming neither romantic or whatever you're talking. This particular song, and I think because even in the context of the film, this is the first time they meet, and I just wanted a breaking ice song, where even I was probably not very sure. Partly, I loved the song so much, what Kirwani has done. In the context of that, I never really thought of it as a genre. It is like a lullaby song, I would think the most Shungaram song I shot in my career is Rangila. The Hairama song. I wish you played that in this context.
No,
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
What went into the...
See, in Hairama, one thing, I was, when I talked to Rahman, I told Rahman, see, when the moment you have a song, like a erotic song between two, people tend to have it in the bedroom or dark lighting and closed spaces and things like that. I said, I want to shoot it in broad daylight. When animals have sex, they don't care about, except for their feelings for each other, they don't care about the daylight, whether somebody is watching or not. And I don't want to have love in their eyes. I want lust. In Jackie Shroff and Urmila's faces, there is lust, there is no love at all. But to kind of give it an elevation, even those feeling where you want to be embarrassed about it and where you want to hide away about it, to make a loud statement, of the expression of desire between a man and a woman. I want the music to reflect that, is what I told him. And then he came up with all those tabla, tan, 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 you know, all that. You know, it is like celebrating the act of making love. So that was the thing behind it, yeah.
Okay, great.
But as an anecdote, if you do that, we went to this place called Goa, for a music sitting. And Rahman, he was staying in one cottage and I was in another cottage. So after a whole day of waiting for him, and then he comes, Ramu, I'm doing something, I'll make you hear it tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes day after. So we were there for 5 days. All 5 days he didn't make me hear anything. And 5th day he said, I have something in my mind. I will put it together and I will send it to you from Chennai. So, and on route to the airport, he said, Ramu, next time we come for composing, please don't put me in a room where there's a TV, because all 5 days of watching only TV, he said. I wanted to kill him. You know? All the time and money spent. Then he sent me a tune from... the reference I gave to him was Kate nahi katti ye din ye raat, I love you. That is reference I gave from Mr. India. He sent me a bare groove tune. Some Carnatic classic tune he sent, and I was wondering, by mistake he sent me something else or what, you know. And Rahman, what is this thing? This sounds like thing which people go to sleep. So even that beat, that on a tabla he did, you know. Then he said, no, I did it for you only. I said, Rahman, I can't imagine this to be an erotic, what I described as a situation. Around that will come in the music. Are you sure? Yeah. He said. Then when I went to hear it in Chennai, I was blown. I never ever imagined that kind of a tune can be packaged like that with the full orchestration. Yeah.
Wow. Now, how do you look at the relationship between, let's say, creation and deadlines? Creation and? Deadlines.
Deadlines. I think, see, deadlines is just an excuse people take, I feel. I mean, see, for example, first of all, there's no such thing as hard work. Either idea comes or doesn't come. You know? I don't agree with the word hard work in creative thing. You know? Even when people say that I'm working for a long time on this script, that actually means you're going on changing it. It doesn't mean that, you get an idea and you might discard it. You might say something and then you add something, you subtract something. This keeps on going, and then when you, for some reason, decide on the final version, it is possible your first version was better, which you will never know, and which happens all the time, actually, you know. So coming to this, now if it's a deadline, I mean, see, eventually life is full of deadlines. You can't say in the name of creating something, I will take all the time in the world. You know, then it's a question of whether you have a choice or not. For example, you take Rahman. Rahman takes all the time in the world. Ilayaraja will give it just like that. The entire Shiva music, Ilayaraja did it in 30-40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. He will just give it like a puri and idli and all that. You know? So, getting used to Ilayaraja, Rahman will take at least a month and a half, if you're lucky, to do each song. But that is his temperament. I mean, both of them are highly successful, so I can't say that. So I'll prefer to work with someone who's fast. Yeah.
Perfect.
So because both of them are such masters, you can't say this works better or that works better. Yeah.
Perfect. Fifth clip. It's the climax of Govinda Govinda. I think this is the closest and this is the most verbal you have ever been about divinity, right? I mean, you said that you believe that there is God, but you don't believe that it has a form. like a Balaji or a Vinayak.
Yeah. More or less, like, I would rather say, see, when someone asks me this question, how can you make a film, Govinda, when you don't believe in God, I said, no, when to make Satya, I don't need to be a gangster, or to make not a love story, I don't need to become a killer or something, I think, see, eventually a film can thrill you, can make you wonder, can scare you, can make you laugh or something. They're basically the different genres, But coming to this film, for me, more than the film, my best memory of this is my fight with the censor board. Yeah. So what the censor board did, basically, like the film is about how they plan to rob Tirupati temple. You know what the censor problem was?
They were wearing shoes.
No, yeah, they were wearing shoes when they came into Garbhagudi. They didn't have a problem with them stealing the jewels. That is the point, And they said you can't touch, nobody can touch the kiritam. Nobody can touch the deity and things like that. So the robbery sequence, originally what they shot was nearly 2,000 feet. And what came in the film eventually was 200 feet. Because I had to cut off all the long shots, in terms of wherever they're wearing shoes. Yeah.
So there was no option to crop or something?
No. At that time, this film, no? This is not possible. You have to completely reshoot the entire thing. Yeah, that is not possible, yeah. But also, the point is, when it was already rejected by the censor, even if you shoot it, it is not going to be just, yeah. It's just a frustrating experience.
Now, was it frustrating or was it heartbreaking?
No, I'm kind of used to that kind of things happening. So I just when I realize that I can do nothing, I just leave it. Yeah.
Okay. You are saying this now, but back then?
Even back then, yes, definitely I was affected after putting in all that effort, and that is the heart of the film. If I knew that, there is no. That is actually the film was made for the reason of that robbery. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about what makes you wonder. How do you
what makes
approach?
Me wonder?
Yeah.
Any kind of an emotion which creates that feeling. See, for example, though I don't believe in God, I was very, very enamored with this scene, the way it is shot, and the casting of that kid, and everything about it, and. One more thing which unexpectedly worked for me is the soundtrack which we did for this film. I used it in Sarkar.
Govinda.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So when first I made Amitabh Bachchan hear the track, Govinda, and he heard it and looked at me. Why him? He said. I didn't understand. What do you mean, why him? But why are you bringing Govinda? He thought Govinda the actor. He didn't connect. I said, Sarkar is not Govinda, it is Venkateshwar Swami is called Govinda in South, maybe not in North, I don't know. And then I had to quickly come up with an explanation. I said, Sarkar is like Krishna, because he's thinking something is coming across as Ram, but he's thinking like Krishna inside, which is the reason the background score is always in the back. Because of that, I thought, though you're talking like Ram, by playing Govinda, I'm giving a subtextual meaning to that. I came up with that idea just then. Yeah.
Sir, but this theory of gods having a form is something you reject, right?
Yeah. I believe it limits, you will be more affected and more in awe of something which you can't see, because your mind starts imagining it. When you give it a finite shape and a finite form, I think you start making judgments on it. And that defeats the whole purpose of
divinity.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we are talking about form. Okay, form is the discussion here, and you reject or say you look down on the form. So my question is, can a filmmaker still go and discuss something, explore something, and make something which he doesn't really believe in?
Yeah.
Can he?
Yeah, surely. That is what I just told. See, but the point there is, understanding is different from believing. I understand the mind of a gangster. I don't believe in gangsterism. There is a difference there. I understand why a person can be in awe of divinity, but I might not be in awe by myself. So that is where the difference is. If I'm studying a criminal, I don't need to become a criminal. So I'm like let's say like a naturalist who's studying a wild animal. You don't need to become an animal for that. That's how I would put it.
Distance.
Yeah, I mean, you're studying. That is because of a subject interest. Interest in the subject matter does not mean you become the subject. Yeah.
And this allows you to be more objective, right? When you're dealing with something.
No, I don't think it was objective. I mean, I think I genuinely believed in the emotions of the characters who are in place.
Okay.
Because it is their story I'm telling. I'm not telling what I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this differs, right? At times you do put yourself in the, like you said.
That's what I was explaining you. See, then it depends upon if I'm making a statement through the film. I was doing to an extent in Satya. Yeah.
But not in Govinda.
No.
Okay, great. I think the next clip is peace. And we had a very difficult time.
I made films on peace?
Yeah, exactly.
That's news to me.
Pause. So we
Unless you're again misrepresenting like Srungaram.
No. Yeah. So we really had a very tough time figuring out what is peace in RGV's filmography. And this is what we figured out. Yeah. Correct representation?
I'm not saying peace is the right word, but okay.
Closest. That's the closest we could come to find peace in your filmography.
Okay.
Because a gangster is finding, the meaning of little things, and he's finding the joy in little things, or say that there are people who find normal things joyful.
It's fair enough you kind of interpret it like that, but I'll tell you my main reason for these scenes in Satya. See, there was a line Coppola said about Godfather. He said, if an average man can never connect to a person who can kill somebody, but if the person who kills is also seen making spaghetti to eat, then they can connect.
Humanizing them.
Humanizing. To see them as normal people, like he's talking about batata vada or something. He's blushing with her. And this guy shoots Jagga in the head, that becomes believable.
Okay.
Yeah. So when Bhikkhu Matre comes, when his wife is nagging, people can't connect to a gangster's character, but they can connect to a nagging wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, everyone in the theatre would have had an experience. Either they would have seen their parents fighting, their mother nagging, or their own wife nagging. So all of them become related to that thing. Then the killing becomes believable. So whole of Satya used these humanizing elements like what you call peace for that purpose. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, the way we saw it, while we had this discussion, me and my team members, like how do we find peace in RG's filmography? And there is this gangster, like you said, who's going on, at least we don't know his backstory, but it's clear that he hasn't led a normal life. Like he has led a very, unpeaceful or very discomforting life, a life of unrest. So he's finding normality. And he's interacting with normal people, and he says, "Pehli baar महसूस कर रहा हूँ." So for me, that was the most interesting aspect about this whole thing. And speaking of that, why is there so little peace in your films?
Because I hate peace. I'm bored with peace. So unless there's some kind of a disturbance in the world, I don't feel entertained. And film is about entertainment.
But there is already a lot of unrest in the world, right, sir?
I want to add to it. To the best of my ability.
Great. Next clip, please. Yeah. Does Ram Gopal Varma like to laugh?
That's an interesting question. But I actually very rarely laugh, very heartfelt, I mean. But I definitely enjoy humor. See, I've been very heavily influenced by Mad Magazine in my teens. My sense of humor mostly comes from Laurel and Hardy and Mad Magazine. You know, I don't like the so-called like spoofy or slapstick. Slapstick is something I don't enjoy. I enjoy situational comedies, and then, of course, this film, in terms of it started off with money. When I wanted to cast Brahma, in a very serious kind of a thing. I said, your image anyway makes people laugh, but you are playing it seriously, and you are believing in yourself, in your seriousness. That completely changes the context. Yeah.
And you keep saying this, right? One shouldn't take themselves too seriously. The moment you take yourself too seriously, we end up becoming a joke.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So what was your approach
the more serious you're in life, the bigger the joker you will be.
What was your approach to, say, this character,
See,
this scene?
These two sequences. One is when he talks to that guy. Mari antadala ganpadutana. So that is that's a very Gulzarish kind of a comedy, in terms of Angur and things like that, or what was made in the 70s, Whereas this chase sequence, I think, is heavily influenced by Laurel and Hardy films. Typically, those black and white days used to be like that, yeah.
And you go with a lot of steady frames. And
a lot of what?
Those blocks, those steady blocks. The humor is in the blocks only. Like when they are coming and pausing, you see Brahmanandam, J.D. Chakravarti, Urmila running and pausing there. That frame is funny. That pause is funny. Can you tell us about that choice?
Comedy, like I said earlier in this discussion, it belongs to really an actor. So I don't think you should add too much of camera movement and taking aspects, and to leave the actor to create the space for that. So I would apply technique only to the extent of not disturbing the actor's performance. So I don't want to come and show off myself. Which is what I do all the time in Bhoot and even in Sarkar. Yeah.
So comedy is where you step back and...
Yeah, step back and just let the actor do his job. Yeah.
Perfect. And do you enjoy writing humor, sir?
Yeah. I'm basically a very funny guy. I might not come across like that, but my sense of humor is very either different or weird or whatever you want to call. I think... because for me, the most funniest film I saw in my life is Dr. Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick's. That is what my benchmark of humor. Yeah.
Oh, and what would your benchmark for horror be like in that sense?
Horror for sure is Exorcist.
Exorcist.
Yeah, I've never seen anything. It might look dated now, the VFX part and all that, but the fundamental thought behind it, I find it the most scariest film ever made. Yeah.
So, like you said, right? What makes fear work is the uncertainty. Yeah. How much you know and how much you don't know. What do you think makes comedy work?
See, comedy also, I think it's fundamentally, there should be relatability to you. For example, when Brahmanandam says, Mari antadala ganpadutana. And a lot of us, if they're giving us as an explanation or something, and you will feel hurt. That he thinks I'm an idiot. You think I'm an idiot or what? A lot of people say that, no? He thinks I'm a fool. Why do they say that? Because he's not giving that much respect also to your intelligence. I think they connect to that aspect, because everyone will feel it at some time. Otherwise, in Rangila, when Amir Khan puts his feet on the seat before, and that guy says, "Pair nikal." So pair dekh raha hai, picture dekh raha hai. And everybody bursts out laughing, because a lot of people tendency to put the feet would have felt that at some time. Maybe not in so many words, but they would experience the feeling. So I think humor also works in the context of, it will have some real life match somewhere to a person you know, or to a incident you saw, or something like that. Yeah.
So comedy, that relatability. Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, I wanted to know this. There is a headspace when you are directing, let's say, a Bhoot or a Raktha, Charitra or a Sarkar, and you must be having a headspace when you're directing a Money or Anaganaga or Roju. So what's the difference in that headspace when you are directing Anaganaga oka Roju, let's say, are you in a more relaxed, gleeful headspace as long as you're working on the film? Does that happen?
I'm not sure I'll be conscious. See, it eventually depends upon though the same film might sometimes have a different genres in the same film. For example, in Sarkar, Kota Srinivasu played Silver Money. So my treatment of that could be a little different compared to how I will shoot the scenes of Rashid, the guy in black. Or the whole genre of the film. Anaganaga Roju is supposed to make you either laugh or see the film with a smile. You're never serious in the film. So I think at that point of time, my mind state would be that. I don't know if you mean headspace by mind state.
Yeah.
You know? Or when I'm making a horror film, for example, I'm extremely sensitive because I'm very sensitive to minute movements of the camera and performance and lighting and things like that. So I think my intention and the genre of the film will make me decide on what kind of a seriousness I'll be.
Okay.
Like I remember when I was taking a shot of Revati in Ratri. So I was operating the camera and slowly the trolley is going and she's to the back, you know. And I'm going behind, I'm seeing the rehearsal. So as I went, suddenly she turned to the camera. I fell off actually. Because I was so much involved in that shot. In my mind, I was playing the music of what will come. And I was feeling that in my heart. Which means I'm actually looking at a film, a finished film for that particular point of time, which is the reason I so strongly reacted. Yeah.
And you must have seen how people were laughing, and for me, it's a great space for me to be in an auditorium packed with people, and they're laughing, which is why I love watching comedy films in theaters. And I'm sure you must be having similar preferences with genres. And when you are in a position where you can make people laugh, and I'm sure you must have seen your films being played to packed houses and people laughing. How does that feel as a creator?
Honestly, I very rarely see my films in a theater. See,
Okay.
once I finish the final mixing, I kind of completely is out of my system. So very rarely I watch, you know. And one more reason I don't watch is because when they give a wrong reaction, I get irritated, and I don't want to subject myself to that.
Is there any experience? Can you share one?
I mean, lots of times it happens. At a point of time where I thought, where I think they'll laugh, they won't. At some silly thing, what I just let it go in the edit, they will love that. You know, that happens all the time in all films, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Appal Raju. How many people like Appal Raju here? Yeah. You should please, if possible, try to get back to comedy. We would love to watch something.
See, Appal Raju is something I again recently happened to see about maybe a couple of months back or something. I liked it even more now when I made it.
Yeah.
So I discovered it myself. This is the first time it happened to me. Yeah.
I think you seeing that, we can feel that it's coming from a very personal space. There is angst that is being channelized in the way of humor.
I think it's more relevant to now.
Yeah.
In the days of social media, I mean, people are more aware of exactly how the film industry functions, the distributors, all that stuff, you know. I think at that time when it came out, maybe they weren't so much aware. So it became like an inside joke to an extent, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. 8th clip, please. Again, one of the reasons I love this scene is the coldness on Nagarjuna's face. When we have a template, right? How a hero gives a warning to a villain. It's not there. He's coming, he's delivering a message, and he's leaving.
See, now there is two things. There's one thing. If Veeram can be considered heroism, you know, there's a cinematic heroism and there's a real life heroism. In cinematic heroism, the practical problem is we had trouble. How can he walk with a full man's weight on his shoulder?
Yeah.
You know, see, that guy, he should look big enough for a rowdy. He can't be like some tiny guy. So we made it with the dupes, and we made it again with like in some shots a doll. We made making a doll to work, because, and one is that, see, if he's walking like that, struggling to bear the weight, there is no heroism.
Yeah.
But in real life, you can't carry 100 kgs and walk effortlessly as if you're walking in a park. Then he's going up the stairs on top of that, you know. Yeah, that is as far as the so-called cinematic heroism is concerned. But in real life, it would never happen that way, because the fact that Bhavani also is a dangerous guy, he's already has more experience than Shiva in the context of that. What if, and they're coming in without any care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In real life, probably something like that would happen, where they will come hidden and all that, and then come and take control of the situation and say it. But they're walking in as if they're going to be welcomed. You know? So that in the real context is very unbelievable. But cinematically, because you're transported into that world and you're believing that Shiva can do anything. Yeah.
And why that coldness on his face? Like you said, for Sarkar.
See, cold is not the right word. Coldness is nothing but being super confident about yourself, that nothing can go wrong. See, confidence is what which scares you. Which makes you look up to a person is the confidence he exudes. If he gets shot, then it becomes overconfidence. If he's being careful, it looks like there's no heroism. If he's being scared for himself, you know. So that is. Now, if you look at Satya, when first time there's a shootout happens, and Bhikkhu Matri jumps in and tries to hide, and you can see the tension, you can see the fear. At the same time, he's also trying to fight. Now, that is what I call realism. Shiva is not realistic. Yeah.
Satya is realistic.
Yeah, that is realistic, because the characters are human. They're vulnerable. Anyone can die anytime. It is not elevating any one character at any specific time. Yeah.
And this degree of realism, how can a filmmaker figure it out?
I think that is an intention you have to make. For example, I would say there is a hero in Shiva, there is a hero in Sarkar. There is no hero in Satya, there is no hero in Company. And that is a decision you take right in the beginning. Yeah. How you want to deal with the characters. Yeah.
Okay. And how important is believability for you? Especially when you are doing a drama or something like this.
Also that I think is like if you look at Anaganaga or Roju or Money, I don't think I'm emphasizing so much on believability. You know, but otherwise, on my sensibility, I tend to take subject matters where I want an extent of believability. But at the same time, I know that Shiva can never happen in real life. It is a fantasy, a character like that to exist. Or even a Sarkar cannot happen like that. But then you structure the entire screenplay, the making, the design of the character to make it look believable. A person like this can actually exist. Yeah. So all of that will come from your primary intention of what you decided how to make the film. Yeah.
Perfect. Final clip, and then we'll open the mic for audience. Final clip, it is the climax of Satya. And you think Satya is the film that has aged the best in your filmography, right? I think you said it.
Yeah, partly Rangil also. So I'd like to believe that's because they both have real life characters. See, it is not like, there's no cinematic sense in Satya, like I mentioned. So this story can happen today, it can happen 20 years back or 30 years back or whatever, same thing with. So the characters are very relatable and you can identify with them in some sense or the other. And even taking something like Godfather, which is 50 years old, it still looks new because the characters look like what you can relate to even today. Yeah. Incidentally, this particular sequence I copied from a James Hadley's novel called My Laugh Comes Last, you know. And in that book, it just moved me a lot, that particular sequence of a killer coming and to meet his girlfriend and thing like that. Yeah.
And the beauty of it is we feel bad for someone who has committed a lot of murders at the end.
Yeah, because see, the point is the human beings are so sentimental in the context. Like, you know, even if you take an example, like if there's a tiger which is chasing a leopard, or it's chasing, suppose, a deer, and you feel sad for the deer. And when the deer is caught and it's eating, you feel so sad. And then some hyenas come and chase away the leopard, you feel sad for the leopard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when he's probably being a gangster or killing someone, your feeling for him will be different. But he's feeling so strongly for this girl that he's risking his own life and everything, then you feel strong for him, which I think is just being human. Yeah. And when I made Satya, those days I was still believing in the power of love before I discovered the power of lust.
You were still innocent in a way back then.
What?
You were still innocent back then.
I would say I was naive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how can a filmmaker make the audience empathize with that character? Like you said, humanizing them is one way. Like you said, not everyone might be able to relate to someone who commits a crime, but they'll relate to.
See, the emotions, they shift like gears. See, for example, if you catch a man-eating tiger, you know, you'll be so happy that because it was killing people, and then you managed to trap it, and then you're putting it in a cage, and now you want someone to shoot it. If that guy is taking careful aim at the tiger which is inside a cage, you'll feel very sorry for the tiger.
Yeah.
So, which means basically always look at the underdog. Anybody who's in an inferior position, you immediately start empathizing with that person. So that is human nature. So likewise here, you know it is a tragedy story. From the time he kills Bau and he comes in the way he's injured, and you know the police are closing on him. And then that will eventually mean that he's like a caged tiger. And there's nothing he can do to escape death. Yeah.
And the pattern.
And the reason he's come back is he did not escape. He came back for her. You know, so that is a human aspect which you probably did not see to this extent before in the film. Yeah.
And probably he might have been alive had he not stopped also, right? So he's genuinely risking.
Yeah. If he ran away from wherever that incident happened with Bau, he could have survived. Yeah.
Love killed Satya.
Yeah.
Speaking of empathy, can you say like some other things? Do you think relatability is the key factor when we are writing?
See, like, you know, if any person at a cost to himself that he will lose something in his life, but he still wants to do for something for someone else, or is not able to risk the temptation of keeping out of harm's way, you immediately relate to that person. You might not do it, you might not have the guts, but you look up to the person, at least. You look up to the person's emotion, and so many times you will see multiple experiences of that, yeah.
So, final question before I open the stage for you guys. Is it important that a filmmaker be an emotional and sensitive person?
I don't think he needs to be, but he should be very understanding of human emotions. I should be able to respect your emotion.
Even if you don't agree with it?
If I don't agree with him also. Only then I can portray his character to the deserved extent what is required in the context of the script. Okay. So I might not agree with most of the characters I create, what they do. I will never do that. But I'm very sensitive to the emotions they feel.
Perfect.
If I was in Satya's place, I would have run away. There is no way I would do this. There is no way I will do something like this.
Who wants to ask a question? I'll give this mic away.
Okay.
Sir, so what is a dream project? What is a last wish to want to direct a film?
See, I live from morning to night. I don't have any dreams. I don't have any memories. From the time I wake up in the morning till I sleep in the night, that is my only life.
Sir, recently you tweeted about Lawrence Bishnoi. Do you want to make a movie on Lawrence Bishnoi?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, my question is like, there are many jumps which you have directed and all, but my favorite one is like the attacks of 2611. So I just want to know how much of research have been done, and also a movie Nana Patekar acting chala బాగుంటుంది సార్. Like when Kasabni under dead bodies దగ్గర వెళ్ళి పట్టుకొని he just pulls him and just asks him very ferocious గా అడుగుతాడు. And how tough it is to, like, he's a great performer. Like how much మీరు ఆయనకి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారు? Like I just want to know like how much of research went in it, and how much of cinematic has been done, and how much you explain a performer to act.
See, the research will be in the context of, for example, I spent a lot of time with Rakesh Maria, who was the main person in the, who was in charge of the investigation. So from the time he heard the scene of Nana Patekar when he comes out of the bathroom and all the phones are ringing at the same time, which makes him feel that there is something going on, something not expected. You can see the slight tension in his face. When Rakesh Maria told me, that was the first time I got an idea of actually making a film. So I thought the film should be in his point of view, which is the reason where Nana Patekar's character came. So 2611 is such a vast subject, from the planning of the terrorists to the other people. There are multiple characters who had an equal role in the context, and you can't probably justify that even in a web series, forget a feature film. So I wanted to stick to his point of view. Second is, when I told Nana about the character, he said he wanted to know about Rakesh Mehra, how he is and what his kind of a person he is. I said, you are not playing Rakesh Mehra's character. You are playing Rakesh Mehra's emotion, I said. There is a specific context, each of them will be broken down, and in the context of the shot or the sequence, you have to give a desired expression for me. So I don't know how many people understand that. There's a difference between playing an emotion and playing a character. Because Nana Patekar would look at it like he has dogs, he takes early morning a dog for a walk, how he talks to his neighbors, and what his relationship with his wife. That is one way of preparing for a character. Another way is just to stick to the required reaction in a particular shot, which is how I tackled him in that film. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello. I can't see him. Yeah.
నా పేరు సూర్య. సత్య
నా పేరు సూర్య బ్రదరా మీరు? ఓకే. యా.
సత్య బాంబే ట్రైన్ ఎక్కడానికి 2 days ముందు అతని లైఫ్లో ఏం జరిగిందో మాకు కొంచెం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయండి సార్.
See, this kind of a question comes to me many times with actors when they ask me. Recently I was talking to like for example, that guy Rashid in Sarkar, when he comes to meet Amitabh Bachchan, he asked me this question, what is my background? What is my... I said, I don't know and I don't want to know, I said. See, characters come into our life. For example, I met you for the first time. I don't know your background. I don't know what you are and where you are. So just by the way you speak, by the way you react to me, I form an opinion, which is what happens in the theater. The characters come suddenly out of the blue in the context of the screenplay, and you develop a relationship with them from there. So when you see Satya coming out, your relationship started at that time. If any information more than that is required in one scene, he will say something like, my parents died long time back. And so in the relationship with the context, I might choose to give some information here and there, but I don't want to get into the background. And I don't want to think. Because the danger of getting into the background is you will fall into a trap. Then you will start, because what you discussed in the office about the background of the character, unknowingly you will start putting it in that context, and that might actually affect the effect of the character, the overall effect. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Yeah. My question is, you have been trying to pull lot of talent from RJV's den, other actors, cinematographer, directors. Was it fruitful from
Yes.
your try? And one more thing is, basically, if you are directing, it's your film. But there are few films which you aren't directed, but it's just like RJV's film, although the directors are someone else. So even if they are making any film, the talent from the RGVs done, we have approached the. So వాళ్ళు డైరెక్ట్ చేసిన ఫిల్మ్ కానీ వాళ్ళు యాక్ట్ చేసిన ఫిల్మ్ కానీ ఒకవేళ మీరు ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేసినా కానీ ఈజ్ ఇట్ లైక్ ఒక ఆర్జీవీ ఫిల్మ్ లాగా ఉండబోతుందా ఆర్ ఎల్స్ విల్ దేర్ నేమ్?
No, I don't know what's RGV film, because RGV film అనేది ఉండదు. I am also influenced by so many directors at some time, or like I said, I take something from a novel, a shot from here, a scene
Not
from
particularly film, I'm saying the shadow of RGV, there's a lot
I
of...
mean, see, yeah, I think it will be there for two reasons. One is I will also pick up people who have a similar sensibility, and they will also come to me because they're attracted to my sensibility. It can happen. Yeah, for sure. Yes.
So they are like under RGV shadow, but they have a name of it. They have a name of their own probably.
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks.
హలో,
Hi.
మీరు పాస్ట్ ఇంటర్వ్యూలో చూసుకుంటే నా చావు చరిత్రలో ఒక భిన్నంగా ఉండాలి అని మీరు ఒక ఇంటర్వ్యూలో చెప్పారు. నేను చనిపోతే నా బాడీ ఒక్క పార్ట్ కూడా అసలు దొరకకూడదు అన్నట్టు విన్నాను.
ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ లైన్ మీ మీద ఒట్టేసి చెప్తున్నా, నేను ఎప్పుడు అనలేదు.
అన్నారు సార్.
మీరు అది నేను ఎక్కడ అన్న క్లిప్ నాకు చూపిస్తే నేను ₹1,00,000 ఇస్తాను. అదొక ఫస్ట్ లైన్.
సార్, ఐ విల్ పుట్ ఇన్ ద ట్విట్టర్.
ఓకే, డన్.
ట్యాగ్ యూ.
డన్.
కట్ చేస్తే KGF 2 క్లైమాక్స్లో ఉంది అది. అతని బాడీ దొరకకుండా రాకీ బాయ్ వాటర్లో మునిగిపోతాడు. బాడీ కూడా దొరకదు అసలు.
కాదు, నేను అది సెకండ్. మీరు 2 డైలాగ్స్ చెప్పారు అక్కడ. ఫస్ట్ డైలాగ్ గురించి నేను చెప్పాను.
అదే సార్, నేను అనేది ఏంటంటే మీ ఇంటర్వ్యూలో అది ఉన్నది. ప్రశాంత్ నీల్ మిమ్మల్ని ఏమైనా అడిగిండా, లేకపోతే మీరేమైనా కాపీ చేసిరు అనుకుంటారా?
I don't say that. I can't say because Prashant Neel said that he's very influenced by me, but I don't know about this dialogue came from there.
Yeah.
But I think that is something similar thought చాలా మంది, even if you look at novels and all that, it will be there. It is not such a unique line that ఏదో నేను ఒక్కడనే కనిపెట్టినంత ఇదేం లేదు అక్కడ. Yeah.
Sir, there's so much of knowledge sharing happen here. So I just like, what is the process of understanding something so deeply? Like, I mean, you look at things like, was it something like looking at it many times? Was it questioning so deeply? How to understand something?
Looking at it many times.
Sir, how to understand something so deeply so that you can apply, like you read a philosophy, how to understand that it so truly, so that can you apply it to yourself?
See, if you ask me that question, then it means that you won't understand anything.
Maybe, yeah.
Because understanding is a very personal thing in terms of your focus and your IQ, your absorption power, and your fundamental basic knowledge, what you have developed over a certain period of time. I think it's a sum total of that which makes you absorb something which you saw, which you observed. So I think no two people can have the same parameters. So I can't tell you what you should do, or you can't tell what someone else should do. It has to be a very personal experience, I think. Because when I read a novel, the way I understand it is very different from someone else who reads the same novel, for example. So I think that is because the absorption quotient depends on various other factors, what I just now said. Yeah.
Hi sir, hi everyone. Sir, I am Madhav, I am a final year BBA student. Sir, I want to ask 2 questions. Before asking that, I want to share one thing. Sir, exactly 1 year back, I made a scene which you given as test from your film, Satya. I mailed it to RGV10. I didn't get any reply. It did not select it though. I was completely mad and stupid at that point of time. I done it just for the curiosity to direct for the first time. I did not work at any as assistant before. So, while shooting, I didn't know much about camera work and all, and on the day it was huge rain, so I did blocking and staging in a hurry. So, how do you manage staging your actors and blocking cameras into while shooting?
See, there are 2 parts to this point. The second part of your question, I think defeats the purpose of giving the test, because if you don't know how to do it, then you have no business doing it. The whole idea was to, whether you have the capacity to do it, the test is for that purpose. Second purpose, if you send something, maybe it didn't kind of come through the shortlisted the version. Shortlisted whatever films we finally took into account. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. That blocking is a very individual's work in terms of the way I do. it will be very different from you and someone here, someone there. So to see that aspect of it, how well you can use the various aspects of the medium is what the test is about. But if you're asking me how do you do it, then which means you don't deserve to be on the test also. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Sir, my context of the question is peace. And ఇప్పుడు లాట్ ఆఫ్ అంటే వైలెన్స్ తర్వాత పీస్నే బిలీవ్ చేస్తున్నారు కదా, అంటే సో మచ్ వైలెన్స్ అరౌండ్ ద వరల్డ్. ఇప్పుడు పవర్ గురించి కానీ రిలీజియస్ కాంటెస్ట్లో కూడా ఇజ్రాయిల్లో కానీ సో మచ్ వైలెన్స్ అనేది ప్రపంచం మొత్తం జరుగుతుంది కదా. సో నెక్స్ట్ పీస్ అనేది ఎట్లుండబోతుంది వాళ్ళ లైఫ్లో. ఇంకో క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే, మన లైఫ్లో ఉన్న పీస్ని మనం కాకుండా ఇప్పుడు పొలిటికల్ కాంటెక్స్లో ఎవరో డిసైడ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు మన లైఫ్లో ఉన్న పీస్ని. వాళ్ళు డెసిజన్ తీసుకుంటే దానికి మన లైఫ్ అంతా అఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది, మన పీస్ అంతా, లైఫ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ అఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది కదా. మన లైఫ్లో ఉన్న పీస్ని ఎట్లా డిఫైన్ చేయగలుగుతాం, ఎట్లా లీవ్ చేయగలుగుతాం? ఇప్పుడున్న వైలెన్స్ తర్వాత పీస్ ఎట్లుండబోతుంది అనేది నా క్వశ్చన్.
ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్, వైలెన్స్ ఉంటే వైలెన్స్ వల్ల చచ్చిపోతాం, పీస్ ఉంటే బోర్ కొట్టి చచ్చిపోతాం. సో ఈ రెండింటి మధ్యలో మీరు చెప్పేది. So I think when Puddin legs, everybody does something. Some people want to be constructive, some people want to be destructive. So that is order of life ever since Homo sapiens species came in 60,000 years back, and that is not going to change. The weapons might change, the scale might change, the various purposes, the various objectives might be different. What remains is the human conflict. Human conflict anedi lapothe chachipotham bore kotti. Ade I am very very sure. Because we get up in the morning to hear, if suddenly put Israel war, everybody is excited. ఎప్పుడైతే మీకు డెత్ టాల్ పెరగటం మానేసిందో you start losing interest in following the news after that. ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ సడన్గా ఇప్పుడు 200 మంది పోయారు అనుకోండి, మళ్ళీ చూస్తాం యూట్యూబ్ వీడియోస్. సో ఐ థింక్ వీఆర్ కాన్స్టెంట్లీ అండ్ నౌ రియల్ లైఫ్ వైలెన్స్ ఆల్సో ఇస్ బికమ్ ఎ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఎంటర్టైన్మెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ద యూట్యూబ్ and thumbnails and all that. You look at them as actual films more than they are actually, you don't take time off to understand really and feel the gravity and the tragedy of it, you know. ఇప్పుడు ఇరాన్ కొడతాడు భయ్, ఆడు చేస్తాడు చూడు అని ఒకడు అంటాడు, ఇజ్రాయెల్ అరే అది అంతేగాని దాని వెనకాల ఎంతమంది పోయారు ఏమవుతుంది అనేది ఎవడన్నా ఆలోచిస్తాడు అసలు? బికాస్ దట్ ఈస్ అ బోరింగ్ పార్ట్. యా.
వాట్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ డూ యూ థింక్ యూ హ్యావ్ that made you unique from another directors in terms of filmmaking or something?
Being myself, if I have. Yeah.
సార్, మేము ఆర్జీవీ అంత గొప్ప వాళ్ళంటే ఏం చేయాలి? అది ఒకటి సమాధానం చెప్తే ఇన్ని క్వశ్చన్లు ఉండవండి. ఇంకా మాకు
రామసత్యం అలా ఉండకూడదు.
మమ్మల్ని ఏం చేయమంటారు చెప్తే చేస్తాం. అంతే.
మీరు కూడా రామసత్యనారాయణిజం అని మీరు ఒక స్టార్ట్ చేసి కొత్తగా వచ్చే ప్రొడ్యూసర్లకి వేరే వాళ్ళకి అందరికీ మీరు క్లాసులు ఇచ్చి ఏం చేయకూడదు అని మీరు కూడా ఒక రామయిజం లాగా రామ్ సత్యనారాయణిజం స్టార్ట్ చేయండి.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
చాలా మేలు చేయగలుగుతారు.
మేము మేలాగా ఉంటున్నాము, మేము మాలాగే ఉంటున్నాము, కానీ మీలాగా అవ్వాలంటే ఏం చేయాలి అది ఒకటే చెప్పండి సార్.
మీ టోపీ నాకు ఇవ్వాలి.
You are a huge advocate of artificial intelligence and you wanted to use that in your films, music and all that. Let's say if you take it back to your Shiva days or Kshanam days, and if you had AI during that time, would you have made a Botany Patalo or Jamuratri, that kind of songs using AI? Would you have preferred AI even then instead of Ilayaraja or Keeravan?
You see, the point here is AI is nothing but a substitute. It is replacing the human creative aspect. And now the question is about either you already know, like Ilayaraja, maybe Keeravani was a new person and I worked with him. So Keeravani will come into AI for me. Why? Because I'm not aware of it. I don't know the person. Ilayaraja I know the background, I know everything. So AI even today, it is just about how I briefed another music director. I do the same thing to AI. Then it's a question of what it comes up with, what I like and what I want to use and things like that. So don't think of it as an alien thing. It is just a substitute to a music director. Yeah.
Hi RGV, you look like an 80s villain. You like 80s villain. You like cute though. I started
80s
reading.
villain is bad or good? I didn't understand that.
Cute, sir.
Cute.
Kind of cute.
I don't know that. That's a compliment or insult, man. Yeah, okay.
సో ఐ స్టార్టెడ్ రీసెంట్గా ఫౌంటైన్హుడ్ స్టార్ట్ చేశాను సార్. దాంట్లో మీ ముందు మాటలో మీరు ఏం రాశారంటే నా జీవితాన్నే మార్చేసిన బుక్ అని. ఐ స్టార్టెడ్ రీడింగ్ ఇట్, 100 pages వరకు అయింది. సో డూ యూ రిమెంబర్ ఆ బుక్ చదవక ముందు ఆర్జీవి ఎలా ఉండే, అది అయిన తర్వాత ఎలా ఉండే? థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Which book you're talking about?
ఫౌంటైన్ హెడ్.
Yeah, see, there are 2 points to that, which always I wondered. Because I have a certain bent of mind, did I understand it? Because same Fountainhead, వేరే వాళ్ళు ఎవరైతే చదివారో వాళ్ళు అంత ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ అయి ఉండకపోవచ్చు, వాళ్ళు కొంతమందికి అర్థం అయిపోవచ్చు, కొంతమందికి వేరేగా అర్థం చేసుకోవచ్చు. వేరియస్ థింగ్స్ లైక్ దాట్ విల్ బి దేర్. సో వెన్ ఫిలాసఫర్ నీషే సెడ్, ఇఫ్ యూ అగ్రీ విత్ మీ, విచ్ మీన్స్ యూ నో ఇట్ ఆల్రెడీ. బికాజ్ లేకపోతే మీరు కరెక్ట్ అని అంటే ఎందుకంటారు, మీలో ఆల్రెడీ ఉన్నప్పుడే మీరు కరెక్ట్ అంటారు, లేకపోతే ఎందుకంటారు కరెక్ట్ అని. So I think it is a common belief system which probably she's articulated in such a wonderful way by putting that thing in a context of a story or creating characters and creating situations which will make a stronger impact on me. But fundamentally it has to touch what I already have inside me. That is what I think it is. So definitely reading Fountainhead would have advanced and fast forwarded my thought in that direction. It gives me a validity for what I am thinking privately. I suddenly come through Ayn Rand's characters and Howard Rock. It kind of rapidly will advance in the same direction of what I always was growing into. Yeah.
Hi sir, this is Jay Krishna.
Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు మనం చూసిన 3 క్లిప్స్, అంటే క్లిప్స్లో నుంచి ఒక 3 క్లిప్స్ తీసుకొని నేను ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేస్తాను. లైక్ ఫస్ట్ రక్త చరిత్ర క్లిప్ తీసుకుంటే, ఉమెన్ కుకింగ్ చేస్తుంటే విలన్ వచ్చి, అంటే ఆల్రెడీ ప్రీవియస్ సీన్ ఏమవుతుందంటే నేను చంపేస్తా అని చెప్తాడు, కుకింగ్ జరుగుతుంది. ఇది చాలా జనరల్ సీన్. ఓకే, అంటే ఇంకొక సీన్ తీసుకుందాం. లైక్ ఒక కపుల్ ఒక మర్డర్ చేశారు, దెన్ వాళ్ళు ఇంటిమేట్ అయ్యారు, ఇంటిమేట్ సీన్. దెన్ ఈ 2 సీన్స్ కనుక తీసుకుంటే చాలా న్యాచురల్గా ఉంటాయి. అండ్ వన్స్ సీన్ స్టార్ట్ అయిన తర్వాత వెరీ సటిల్ కెమెరా మూమెంట్స్తో మీరు ఇంటెన్స్గా తీసుకెళ్తున్నారు. దెన్ మ్యూజిక్ సెలెక్షన్ కూడా అంతే పర్ఫెక్ట్గా ఉంది. దెన్ వన్స్ మీరు ఏంటంటే ఫ్రేమ్ని ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత మీరు మ్యూజిక్ సెలెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారా, లేదా ఆల్రెడీ షూటింగ్ చేసిన తర్వాత మ్యూజిక్ సెలెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారా? అండ్ ఇంకొకటి, మీరు ఏదైతే షూట్ చేస్తున్నారు ఇవన్నీ కూడా చాలా రియలిస్టిక్గా ఉండే. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐఎమ్ ఫ్రమ్ విజయవాడ. విజయవాడలో మీరు చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి పెరుగుతూ విజయవాడ కల్చర్లో చూసిన మూమెంట్స్ మీరు అక్కడ పెట్టారా? అంటే ఒక మర్డర్ ఒకటి ఉంది గన్నవరం ఎయిర్పోర్ట్ దగ్గర, మర్డర్ జరిగింది, క్లోజ్ టు లైక్ పర్సన్ వచ్చి షూట్ చేస్తారు, కిల్ చేస్తాడు. నెక్స్ట్ కిల్లర్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నాడో వెళ్ళి బిర్యానీ తిని వైజాగ్ ఎయిర్పోర్ట్కి వెళ్తాడు. అంటే మీ చుట్టుపక్కల జరిగిన ఇలాగ చాలా ఇంటెన్స్గా మీరు తీసుకొని పెట్టారా అనేది.
నా చుట్టుపక్కల జరగాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, బట్ మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద టైమ్ ఐ యాక్చువల్లీ మీట్ పీపుల్ ఆర్ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్ ఇన్ దట్, మీట్ పీపుల్ who has seen it first hand. When I am talking to them, I start gathering details from that. So that will be reflecting in the way the film is shot finally. Yeah. So it is not that I was present at the most of the things. Of course, it's not possible for anyone. But to hear details from people who are involved, only they can tell the details. No, even writers cannot imagine such things. Yeah.
లైక్ ఇందాక సార్ జామురాత్రి సాంగ్ శృంగారం అన్నారు. యాక్చువల్గా అది శృంగారం కంటే రొమాంటిక్ అని చెప్పొచ్చు. సాంగ్ లిరిక్స్ తీసుకుంటే కనుక మనం జామురాత్రి వెన్నెల, ఓకే, మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకున్న డ్రీమ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో, లైక్ సాంగ్ అనుకున్నారు రొమాంటిక్ సాంగ్ అని, దాన్ని షూట్ చేస్తున్నారు. వన్స్ సాంగ్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఫ్రేమ్ టు ఫ్రేమ్ మారుతుంది. లైక్ బోర్డ్స్ వస్తాయి, వాటి క్లిప్పరింగ్ సౌండ్స్, లైక్ ఒక ఇన్సెక్ట్ వెళ్తుంది. ఈవినింగ్ టైమ్స్లో ఇన్సెక్ట్స్ అనేవి ఇంటిమేట్ అవ్వడానికి వెళ్తాయి. సో ఆ సౌండ్ వస్తుంది, మీరు అక్కడ ఇన్సెక్ట్స్ చూపిస్తూ వీళ్ళిద్దరు రొమాన్స్ చూపిస్తున్నారు. సో హౌ డూ యూ మేనిఫెస్ట్ దట్? లైక్ ప్రీవియస్గా మీరు ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకొని అడిగారా సాంగ్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత మీరు అలా ఫ్రేమ్స్ మార్చారా?
ఇప్పుడు ఒక పాయింట్, నేను అసలు ఆ సాంగ్ లిరిక్స్ ఇప్పటివరకు వినలా నేను, బికాస్ దట్ ఈస్ నాట్ మై కైండ్ ఆఫ్ సాంగ్. ఐ లైక్ ద ట్యూన్ అండ్ ద వే ఇట్ ఈస్ షార్ట్. ఐ డిడ్ దట్ ఓన్లీ టు ఇంప్రెస్ శ్రీదేవి గారు. టేకింగ్ ఎలా ఉంటుందో చూపిస్తాను చూడండి అనే దాంట్లో చేశాను. సో మీరు అనుకున్నంత గొప్పగా ఏం ఆలోచించలేను.
Hi sir, this is Yazi. We were discussing about empathizing with the characters earlier, right? That was the last point that we were discussing. So as a writer and filmmaker, how do we ensure there's a thin difference between empathizing with the character and romanticizing his actions? Like if you take Animal as an example recently, which was the whole debate that was happening, as a writer or filmmaker, how do you ensure that?
I mean, that's a very good question. See, empathizing and romantic, I really like to asking the question. See, empathizing is where you are kind of feeling the person's vulnerability. Romanticizing is like you are, in some way or the other, you're trying to make people look up to him. See, when you take the example of Animal, for example, I don't know if empathizing, but I'm awestruck with him. I'm awestruck with the intensity of his emotion, and it is kind of holding my attention in such a strong level. So I don't think I'm empathizing with him. That is the difference. Like romanticizing, in Satya, when people actually told me that you're romanticizing the gangsters, that is not the truth. See, because if by saying they're bad, or somebody is good, somebody is bad, you're actually not getting into the cause of why they've become bad. So I only touched the point of why they are in the way they are. That is actual point. So then you come into the human emotion aspect. But when sometimes that could be your intention, but when the people are watching, they might look up to Bhikkhu Matre, which is not what my intention is. But that's not really in my control on an individual to individual level. Yeah.
Hi, sir. My name is Nihal. I'm an actor. I think there are 3 specific things that you do in your films which really make them so timeless. One is that you build great characters. Number 2 is that you do great staging and blocking. 3 is that you retrieve great performances from them. For example, today, the Satya scene that we've seen, the climax scene, అవి లోపల ఉన్నారు ఈయన బయట ఉన్నారు ఇద్దరు when he wants to meet, they're not able to meet, కలిసే టైంకి చచ్చిపోయాడు. And then the kind of performance you've gotten from Urmila's side. సత్యాలో ఇలా మనీలో ఇంకొకలాగా, రంగిలాలో ఒకలాగా, అండ్ మనం చూసిన భూత్ సీన్లో ఒకలాగా. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద కైండ్ ఆఫ్ బ్రీఫింగ్ దట్ యూర్ ఏబుల్ టు గివ్ టు యువర్ యాక్టర్స్ దట్ వన్ యాక్టర్ ఈస్ ఏబుల్ టు పర్ఫార్మ్ ఇన్ సచ్ వెరైటీ ఇన్ యువర్ ఫిల్మ్స్?
See, the actor finally is basically, like, I truly believe in the basic adage that an actor's performance is between start, camera, and cut. So she or he has to evoke an emotion on a brief given by the director. So when she's playing 4 different, whether it's a genre or a character or whatever, she's doing her job, because no matter what brief is given to, on cue to take it out is what an actor's job. For example, in Jaws, Roy Scheider is talking to his son at the dining table like a loving father, and when he's asked to give an expression when he sees a shark, so they both are 2 different times taken, though it's the same film. The emotion is completely different in the context. So I think an actor's basic qualification of his greatness is not about interpretation of a character. It is able to give a precise expression what is required. So when I told Amitabh Bachchan in Sarkar, I said, sir, when the speed with which you stand up will show you your age. It's not about how white your hair is or how wrinkled you are. That is not the context. It should just kind of reflect in your body language, So he will do it for that. But if I tell him, though you are Sarkar, though you are 60 or 70 years old, you are so agile in your life and you are so restless. If I tell him that, he will quickly get up. So the actor, when he trusts the director, he will do whatever the director asks him to do, because he won't be understanding the whole context of the film. Yeah. I mean, just to finish, I have one interesting anecdote on this. Like in Rangila, I was very confused about one particular shot in the end. When Jackie takes Urmila to Amir, and they both are fighting, and now I wanted it to have a happy ending, Rangila. But I thought if Jackie lost Urmila, why would he be happy? So you will feel sad for him that they are together now. Poor guy, he's gone. So that will make you feel sad. So how do I do that? And how can I make the audience go home happy? Then actually I told Jackie, I'm really not understanding. I very rarely come into this situation. I can't brief an actor about the complexity of what close-up I should put of yours when you're watching them, And Jackie is very instinctive. He's not like a born actor, but he's a kind of a guy who doesn't even read the whole scene. He looks that disconnected. But when I put the close-up, I also didn't know what he's going to do. He just kind of kept on looking at them and slightly wet eyes. He suddenly laughed and went out of the frame. That created that climax music of tan, ta, tan, 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 ta, ta. So that is something of instinct of an actor, you know. So sometimes I might myself also won't be able to know exactly what the reaction you should give. This happened with Jackie. This happened sometimes in Sarkar with Bachchan, you know. So I think, but as a director, the minimum I should be able to tell the theory, able to explain to the actor what is required, even though I can't precisely tell what he should do. Yeah.
Hi sir, my name is Pranav. అది మీ ఫిల్మ్ స్టార్టింగ్ నుంచి రక్త చరిత్ర వరకు చూసుకుంటే మోర్ ఆర్ లెస్ మూమెంట్స్ మీదే ఉంటుంది. కెమెరా యాంగిల్స్, మూమెంట్స్, స్మాల్ మూమెంట్స్. స్టోరీ అనేది ఎప్పుడు థర్డ్ లేయర్లోనో ఫోర్త్ లేయర్లోనో ఉంటుంది. సో ఐ వాంటెడ్ టు ఆస్క్ యూ, మీకు ఎంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ స్టోరీ అనేది వాళ్ళు మేకింగ్ ఎ ఫిల్మ్? ఈవెన్ అన్ ఆడియన్స్, సినిమా ఎంత గ్రేట్గా ఉన్నా వీ ఆల్వేస్ ఫీల్ సినిమా బాగుంది కానీ రెగ్యులర్ స్టోరీ ఇది, రొటీన్ స్టోరీ ఇది. సో మీకు స్టోరీ ఏంటి యాజ్ అ ఫిల్మ్ మేకర్ అండ్ యాజ్ అన్ ఆడియన్ వైల్ యూర్ వాచింగ్? That's my question.
See, I personally strongly believe story is a highly overrated element in the process, you know. Like William Friedkin, who I think is one of the greatest directors, who made Exorcist and French Connection, he said a film should create an emotion. It can create, it can make you laugh, it can make you cry, it can make you feel scared, it can make you feel whatever. And the story elements can help that. But the main thing is the highs which it creates, you know. But many films flop because of the overemphasis on the story, which I strongly believe that, you know. So in the context of that, if when film also, you rarely, except for so-called critics, which is our man here, general audience, I do not believe they care about the story, you know. When Siva, the opening of the film, they already decided to like the film, is what my belief is, you know. By the end of the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes, because film has to work every moment. It's not like you're waiting for the story to be finished for you to make a decision on whether you like the film or not, you know. So I would come back again to the same thing. I tend to keep my storylines very, very thin. I'd rather kind of make the incidents and the taking and the moments inside the scenes and performances, and that is what I depend upon. And the story, most of the time, I have very thin line. Most of my stories won't even be a para, right from my first film. Yeah.
Hi sir, this is Nandan.
Hi.
So in filmmaking, post-production and its technicians play a major part. So nowadays, like 95% of the movie audience, they don't know or understand the work of those technicians, which is why most of the people are getting afraid to be those editors, sound designers, etc. So what message would you like to give to aspiring post-production technicians?
See, I honestly think in today's times, all the crafts apart from the director, I don't think they have any relevance anymore, because it's become so spread out, that thing in terms of when films became so an individualistic expression of a director who's making the choices of what he wants to make. None of them are independent. See, a filmmaker is not a primary artist in the sense of the word. So someone is photographing, somebody is writing, somebody is directing music, and somebody is performing. But all these primary arts is amalgamating them into a whole, so which creates a certain emotional impact on the audience. So it is being channelized through him. I might not be the music director, but it's my taste of music which is coming. I am not a cinematographer, but I am very specifically clear about what kind of frame I want to see. Same thing if it goes to every art, whether it is sound designer or whether it is any other things you mentioned. So I don't think they have any importance in today's time, which is the reason you don't hear about them. Unlike 20 years back, for example, I know a lot of DOPs in Hollywood, like Robert Richardson and William Friedkin. But today, I don't know the cameraman's name at all, anybody. So it's like, you know, for example, when a few years back, when some guy told me, I just saw this film, he said, yeah, how is the film? I said, he said, film is okay, but Rasul Pekuti's work is fantastic, he said. You know? Then I asked him this question, how many films you see per year, per month? So on an average, I will see 3-4 per week, which means you see about some 16 films or 30-40 films a year. So in the last 30-40 films you saw, do you remember any film where the sound effects were bad? I asked. He said no. Do you remember any film sound effects were good? No. Now only because Russell Peccati got Oscar, you mentioned his name. You know? So the point, now okay, that Oscar came maybe 2010 or something. Do you know who got the Oscar in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16? You didn't even bother to find out. So most of the time, see, I am not taking away their work, so don't misunderstand me. But what they are, only the director can know. An outsider, just because their name comes in the credit, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. To top it off, I'll say the mixing engineer is one of the most important because he decides on what level to put and what to throw out and what to add something in the final, and that guy doesn't even come in the awards because they don't know about it. The mixing engineer actually is like the director of the audio track. Yeah.
Your top 5 all-time favorite films, most influential 3 filmmakers.
I think that is a little too difficult because when I came into the industry, the list will be different. But today, after so many years, possibly, but I can't really say that because post coming into the industry, I'm more into the crafting. I'm more into, so I lost my ability to see a film as a whole, or I don't have that interest anymore. Many films, I keep on seeing the same scenes again and again, even without seeing the whole film. Yeah.
Hello, sir. So we all know art is subjective. మీరు అనుకుని తీసింది వేరే ఉంటుంది. People there are all, they have different opinions. So మీరు ఇంతవరకు తీసిన సినిమాల్లో ఏదైనా ఒక సినిమా గుర్తుందా where you had put your, I don't think, but where you put so much effort to it and people may have not seen it. At least not all, but very little have noticed it. Any one scene, and then one scene where you did not put any effort and people are like,
I mean, those examples are innumerable, I would say. They can,
on top of your
I mean, I'm not able to think of
or
anything.
other one where people, I mean, film critics usually we have a lot of conspiracy theories. మీరు ఇంత ఎఫర్ట్ పెట్టకపోయినా అరే సూపర్ ఉంది.
See, to start with, I never put an effort because I have fun while shooting and making a film. I don't subscribe to the fact that ఎంతో కష్టపడి సినిమా తీస్తే ఇలా అది ఎవరు కష్టపడరు. See, that's it. Film making is just decisions. You're taking a series of decisions over a long period of time, and each of those decisions are influenced by factors which are pertinent for that moment, which might not be relevant in the overall flow of the film, or a person who's not party to it when he watches it for the first time, which is the reason 90% films, when they fail, like critics will think, ఇది ఎంత అదవా ఇలాంటి ఎలా తీసాడు అని అనుకుంటారు. సో అప్పుడేంటి, when some critic asked me this question, how can directors make such fundamental mistakes, I said, you will know when you get a chance to direct అని చెప్పాను.
Sir, I'm very empathetic. Sir.
Yeah.
Last లో ఇంగిచ్చేసాను. Couple of final questions.
నా పేరు ముఖేష్ చక్రవర్తి.
కంపెనీస్ న్యూస్ రీల్లో
లేదు అప్పటి నుంచి సైలెంట్
పేషెంట్ అతని పేరు ఇప్పుడు ముఖేష్ కదా?
లేదు అప్పటి నుంచి సైలెంట్గా ఉందని కొంచెం ఇట్లా చెప్పిన నా స్టైల్లో. సో మై నేమ్ ఈజ్ ముఖేష్ చక్రవర్తి. ఐఎమ్ అన్ యాక్టర్, రైటర్, అండ్ రీసెంట్గా నా పాడ్కాస్ట్ ఒకటి స్టార్ట్ చేసిన యూట్యూబ్లో. సో నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే సార్, వాట్ ఆర్ ద క్వాలిటీస్ దట్ యూ లుక్ ఇన్ యువర్ క్రూ టు బీ యూనో ఆ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ సెట్ మీద బాగుండాలి అండ్ ఆ రైటింగ్ అనేది పాజిటివ్గా ఉండాలన్న దానికి మీ క్రూ నుంచి మీరు ఎలా సెలెక్ట్ చేస్తారు? ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. అండ్ ద సెకండ్ క్వశ్చన్ ఈజ్ లైక్ వాట్ వాజ్ దట్ వన్ ఫిల్మ్ దట్ డిడ్ నాట్ గో అకార్డింగ్ టు యువర్ ప్లాన్ అండ్ దాని నుంచి మీరు ఏం ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ చేస్తున్నారు?
There are two questions here, right? Yes. As far as the crew is concerned, obviously I will look at the function of why I'm taking a certain crew person for what purpose, and what I think is about his understanding or expertise towards that. That is one, you know. Second is, what is the second question?
What was that one film that did not go according to your plan?
I think I have 100 films. I don't know if I made that many, but I think all my films, yeah.
ఇక్కడ చాలా వీడియోస్ ప్లే చేశారు, అందులో గిల్టీ గురించి లేదు. సో నాకు
వేర్ ఆర్ యు?
హియర్.
ఓకే.
సో గిల్టీ గురించి లేదనమాట ఆ వీడియోలో. సో
గిల్ట్ రసం లేదా?
అయితే నిశ్శబ్ద్ మూవీలో క్లైమాక్స్లో అంటే అమితాబ్ బచ్చన్ రేవతి గారికి వాళ్ళ కూతురికి చెప్తాడనమాట, నేను ఆ అమ్మాయిని లవ్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో అప్పుడు రేవతి గారు ఇంకా వాళ్ళ డాటర్ ఇచ్చే రియాక్షన్ కానీ అమితాబ్ బచ్చన్ వచ్చే ఫీలింగ్ కానీ దాని గురించి చెప్పండి ఒకటి. ఇంకోటి ఆ లాస్ట్ క్లైమాక్స్లో అతను కొండపైన నిలబడతాడు. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే మీరు ఫస్ట్ మూవీకి ఎంత ఎఫర్ట్ పెడతారో రీసెంట్ రిలీజ్ అయిన ఫిలిం కూడా అంతే ఎఫర్ట్ పెడతారని మీరు అన్నారు. కాకపోతే అక్కడ టెక్నీషియన్స్ కూడా అంతే ఎఫర్ట్ పెడతారు మీ ప్రతి సినిమా కానీ. ఎందుకంటే కొండ సినిమాలో ఎప్పుడైతే అది ఆయన హాస్పిటల్ నుంచి పారిపోవడానికి ట్రై చేస్తాడో ద సేమ్ మ్యూజిక్ అంటే కార్ వచ్చే సౌండ్ 2 times రిపీట్ అవుతాయి బ్యాక్ టు బ్యాక్. అంటే మీరు చూసుకోలేరా లేకపోతే టెక్నీషియన్ చూడలేదా అనేది ఒకటైతే, ఇంకోటి ఎంటర్ ద గర్ల్ డ్రాగన్ సినిమాలు కూడా వాళ్ళకు హౌస్ అందులో క్లైమాక్స్లో వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు కూడా గ్లిచ్ ఉంటుంది, క్లారిటీ అనేది ఉండదన్నమాట ఎంటర్ అయ్యే మూమెంట్లో. సో అది ఓవర్ ఫాల్ట్, ఎందుకు టెక్నీషియన్స్ అంత ఎఫర్ట్ పెడతలేరు ఒకటి. సెకండ్ ఇంకోటి ఏంటిదంటే దయ్యం సినిమా మ్యూజిక్ బీజిఎం ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో చాలా సినిమాలో రిపీట్ అయి ఉంటుంది మీ సినిమాలో. ఒకటి మీరు రిఫరెన్స్ ఇస్తే వాళ్ళు ఆ రిఫరెన్స్ తీసుకొని సేమ్ యాస్టిస్గా పెడుతారా లేకపోతే వాళ్ళు ఎందుకు మాడిఫై చేస్తలేరు, మీరే ఉండని అని చెప్తున్నారా అని?
ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ టు స్టార్ట్ విత్ ఎవర్ ఫాల్ట్ అంటే 100% నా ఫాల్ట్ ఇది. ఎందుకంటే నథింగ్ విల్ గో అవుట్ వితౌట్ మీ ఫైనలీ ఎండోర్సింగ్. ఎందుకు చేస్తాను అంటే ఇప్పుడు మ్యూజిక్ రెపిటేటివ్గా ఉంది అంటే ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఒక ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇందాక గోవిందా చెప్పాను, ఐ యూజ్డ్ గోవిందా సేమ్ థింగ్ ఐ యూజ్డ్ ఇన్ సర్కార్. సో 4 సినిమాల్లో ఊర్మిళ ఉన్నప్పుడు 4 సినిమాల్లో సేమ్ మ్యూజిక్ ఉంటే ఏంటి ప్రాబ్లం? So that is one. Second is sometimes a glitch can happen, which probably it was mistake. Post-productionలో ఒక్కొక్కసారి కరెక్ట్ అవ్వకపోతే దాన్ని కరెక్ట్ చేసే టైం లేకపోవటం వల్ల ఒక్కొక్కసారి వదిలేస్తాం. I don't know the specific thing you're talking about, but these could be the possible reasons for why that happened. Yeah.
Nishabd ending.
Yeah, Nishabd ending. Your question is what? Nishabd ending?
అంటే ఆయన రివీల్ చేస్తాడు కానీ నేను అమ్మాయిని లవ్ చేస్తున్నా అని చెప్పినప్పుడు రేవతి గారు ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ ప్లస్ అమితాబ్ బచ్చన్ కూతురు ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ కూడా ఒక రకమైన ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ అంటే చిరాకు ఒక రకమైన ఉంటుంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం అమితాబ్ బచ్చన్ కూడా చాలా గిల్ట్ ఫీల్ అవుతాడు దాని గురించి, ఆ సీన్ గురించి.
I think that is probably the most complex emotions I dealt with what is in Nishabd. నా ఒపీనియన్లో బచ్చన్ గారి బెస్ట్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ మచ్ మోర్ దెన్ సర్కార్. సర్కార్ ఈజ్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ యూ కెన్ ఈజీలీ డూ. అండ్ సో ద ఫ్యాక్ట్ దట్ ఫీలింగ్కి లాజిక్కి మధ్యలో ఉన్న కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్, ఇప్పుడు ఆయనకి అంత ఏజ్లో కూడా అమ్మాయి మీద వచ్చిన ప్రేమను వదులుకోలేకపోతున్నాడు. సో యాజ్ ఎ హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్ రేవతి అండ్ డాటర్ ఆల్సో మైట్ హ్యావ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ సంథింగ్ సిమిలర్, బట్ ద ఫ్యాక్ట్ దట్ షీ ఈజ్ సమ్ గ్రాండ్ డాటర్స్ ఏజ్ ఆర్ వాట్ ఎవర్, అది అంటే దట్ ఈస్ నో వన్ క్యాన్ రియలీ టెల్ ఏ సొల్యూషన్ ఫర్ దట్, బికాస్ ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ ఫీలింగ్ లైక్ హిమ్, యూ అడ్వైజింగ్ హిమ్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ బ్యాడ్ ఆర్ గుడ్ ఈస్ పాయింట్లెస్. సో ఇన్ ద కాంటెక్స్ట్ ఆఫ్ దట్ వాట్ ఈస్ అనేబుల్ టు when you are having a conflict within yourself and you can't answer yourself, that is the kind of emotional state you saw him there. Yeah.
హలో సార్, నా పేరు వినయ్. సో మీరు 2016లో కిల్లింగ్ వీరప్పని తీసుకున్నారు. సో ఎస్పెషలీ వెన్ క్లైమాక్స్కి వచ్చేకాడికి ప్రెషర్ అయితే ఉంటుంది ఫ్రమ్ పొలిటీషియన్స్ కానీ, బికాస్ స్టేట్ టు స్టేట్ మధ్యలో జరిగేది అండ్ పీపుల్ టు పోలీస్ ఆర్ పొలిటీషియన్స్ జరిగేది స్టోరీ కాబట్టి. సో అందులో ఆ ప్రెషర్ వల్ల మీరు ఏమైనా స్టోరీలో ఇంపాక్ట్ పడిందా, లేదంటే అట్లీస్ట్ ఆ క్రాఫ్ట్ పైన ఏమైనా ఇంపాక్ట్ వచ్చిందా?
No, not for Veerappan. Veerappan, I shot it exactly the way I wanted to, and nobody put any pressure on.
With zero dilution.
What?
With zero dilution.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so hi sir. So this might sound naive and basic, but I do want to know your view on it. So learning any creative field is kind of a never-ending journey. I think we all accept on it. So how can one know that they do have something that matters, or they have what it takes for it, and they're not a big fake, basically not falling into an imposter syndrome? How can one know that?
See, I'll quote something. You judge yourself by what you think you can do. Others judge you by what you have done. So when you decide to do something, unless you do it, how will people know? See, there are hundreds and lakhs and thousands of people around. Everybody will have their own fantasy in their mind, hope, their ambition, their aspiration, and whatever you call. But for the others to recognize that, unless you have the ability, say for example, when I managed to narrate in a way which convinced Annapurna Studios people to give me a break. So my ability, if I don't have that ability, but I still think I can actually do a great film, so and I can't communicate that, how am I going to get a chance? You know? So then in which case you have to figure out a way. Maybe today you can do that. Today you can make a short film or you can shoot one scene and prove your ability if you do not have the narrative capacity, for example. You know? Today you can't have any excuses actually because the technology is available for everybody to make a film. You know, for example, I was meaning to tell that I did this Your Film concept where I wanted the audience to basically judge who's the best director, who's the best actor, who's the best, in every craft, and all of them, we will make the film. It failed in a concept. Why? Because the guy who got the maximum votes, he refused to do a film going by the audience's taste. He said, you know, so that itself fundamentally, the concept went for a toss, you know, because he's an independent guy. He said, I don't want to take my career chance based on some random people telling me by votes, do this, do that, take this guy and take that person, you know. But what it worked for me, I managed to get at least 7 to 8 directors from the tests I did who were kind of shortlisted. And this is the first time I'm announcing this. With 3 of them, I'm making films now. Who came from, This is the first time I'm announcing, so I did it for some purpose, and it worked in some other way. Like I make a film for something, and it becomes a hit for some other thing.
Appal Raju, basically.
Maybe. See, bound script, I'll tell you something very strange about it. I never used to have a bound script in my beginning days, you know, because I just used to go on, for example, Satya. It never had a script. It didn't have a one-line order when I started the film. ఏ రోజు నుంచి అయితే నేను బౌండ్ స్క్రిప్ట్లో పనిచేసాను నా మ్యాక్సిమం ఫ్లాప్స్ అప్పటి నుంచి వచ్చినాయి నాకు. And I'll tell you the reason, what is the difference. See, when you are building something, you don't know what you are building. So you kind of are involved and you're just little confused. Idi baguntundemo ado edo instinct వెళ్తారు. Bound script, you're just repeating what's in the paper. And I think your mind subconsciously gets cut off with the narrative process because it's already made. Now it's on the paper, you're repeating it. So I think without your knowledge, you lose some soul in the whole thing. So this is my thought. As of today, it might change tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for coming here. We have a little thing for you, sir. Post out.
And I don't want to thank anyone because me yesterday meeru vacharu, my yesterday మేము వచ్చాం. Why the hell should you thank anyone?
I mean, for being patient with the hiccups and all. What's your name? Karthik. Karthik made a poster for you.
Okay. I hope it's a woman.
Sorry, it's you. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All the iconic characters. So once again, thank you so much, and guys, thank you so much for this event. If you could sign a few, that would be great. We'd give them to people who couldn't ask questions. If you can sign a few, ever question అడగలేకపోయారో వాళ్ళకి ఇచ్చే. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Oh, shit.
అడిగి చప్పట్టు కొట్టుకునే అలవాటు నాకు లేదు. అది ఆయన
లేదు, మీకు
నాకే చెప్పింది.
ఓకే.
Okay, yeah, I had a great time, and I just hope that some of what is said will be understood. I mean, I am not a master or whatever, like I want to repeat myself, but the point is, నా నుంచి ఏమి నేర్చుకోవాలో కన్నా ఏమి చేయకూడదో నేర్చుకుంటే ఇంకా పైకి వస్తారు.
Taste the Daily. Holidays nale adu namma GT Holidays da. South India's #1 travel brand.